AM Prime and WESN Content Capital are proud to partner with North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival 2023. And it is my privilege to welcome one of the artists who will be gracing the stage in Blanchisseuse on the 27th of May. I'm joined this morning by Miss Marva Newton. She's the leader of Kairi Kaiso. Good morning, Miss Newton.
Hello, Ketan.
Hello.
It's good to be here. Greetings to Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, that's a very much a wonderful way to start this particular discussion. And for those who may not understand or know, precisely the term Kairi, where did you come up with that in order to establish the name Kairi Kaiso?
Well, in 2011, when I was considering getting into a more leading role in performing, because I've been performing by backing up others before, and I suppose we'll get to that a little later on, I looked at the word Kairi because I wanted to describe the island vibe that I wanted to bring to the folk. And Kairi, it means, it's the Amerindian word. It can mean island.
Yes.
It can mean water, and it's the island vibe that I want to capture, and I thought it was perfect. Kairi. And then, the alliteration, Kairi Kaiso, KK, and I went with that.
But beyond that, Kaiso, I mean, not many people actually know what Kaiso is today, and I say that simply because we all know what Calypso is, but understanding the original origins of Calypso, what Kaiso is, and how Kaiso evolved to Calypso, not many people are aware of that. So why have you chosen this particular genre?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, it's a love for it. While I was growing up, there was a program on the radio hosted by Rocky McCollin, and I used to listen, and I was intrigued by these songs because the storytelling was on point. The music engaged me as well. Mm-hmm. And I found myself, like when I was around 20 years old, getting involved in Calypso musicals. There's a gentleman called Royal Gibbons, who's a playwright, and he wrote these groundbreaking Calypso musicals that charted our history and the story of Calypso and some Calypsonians. Because some of the plays, one was about Spoiler, that's a wonderful. One was about the mighty Sparrow, who is the Calypso king of the world. That's 10-1. And the first one was Sing the Chorus. So I thought Sing the Chorus at Queen's Hall. And I said to myself, I would love to get involved in something like that. And I auditioned before master musician, who's no longer with us, Desmond Waite, because he was music director. And to cut a long story short, I got involved. Mm-hmm. And I was part of a wonderful. That was my first play, and I've done so many since then, supporting the music, being part of the music and theater. And as I said before, it's Calypso musicals, that attracted me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've described it more so basically as a love for it, though you've also just given us a brief history of how you've evolved in this particular industry. But was that an easy transition, moving from, as you mentioned, a backup singer, playing with many renowned musicians, into actually forming and leading your own band?
Well, everything... You've got your challenges, you've got the good moments. Through the Calypso musicals, I met an expert performer, David Barrow. David is very good at putting over, particularly the comedy in Calypso. He's a brilliant actor and he sings. And I still play for David. I played with different bands. I did a stint with All Night and the Services, Brass. I mean, there's so many. And I had the opportunity to back up people, but I felt that I wanted to take a further step. So in 2011, as I mentioned, I started the group with my sister Dawn, and it was comprised of musicians with, electric instruments in the main. And over time, I decided that I wanted an acoustic sound. So it has evolved into what it is today, which actually is closer to those pre-independence type calypsos that I'm partial to. That doesn't mean that Kairi Kaiso doesn't perform more contemporary calypsos. So we try to, switch it up a bit, try to, what should I say, reharmonize just a bit, But the transition wasn't a difficult one, but I would say that I started in 2011 and it's in 2019 really as we moved along, we started to really gain a footing, meaning that people became more in tune and more aware that Kairi Kaiso exists and we do calypso through the ages.
I think one of the barriers that you've actually broken, and I think you yourself described it as noticing that not many women were singing vintage songs, but you decided to take it with a bit of a twist, and that is adding vintage kaiso with your guitar licks, like your preference of the instruments is guitar, if I'm not mistaken. Your playing instrument.
Yes, I play guitar. I'm the guitarist in the group. And that's the next thing too. We have a minimalist kind of instrumentation. It's guitar, it's flute. The flute brings the melodies, the guitar is the harmonies. And we have this percussion instrument that still quite a few people, they're not aware of it. It's called a cajon. It's a box on which the player sits and he or she, plays it. It's basically a box, but you get bass in there, you get some snare. So it's really, really interesting. And so with the vocals, and you put these together, we just perform, and we love doing that. In terms of, I don't see a whole lot of women. I'll tell you something. I'm not mainstream calypso. I'm not going up for any competition. That's not what I would like. And I celebrate those who do it. As a matter of fact, the whole reason for Kairi Kaiso is to celebrate the icons and the legends of this great art form. But when I look at the landscape in terms of people who are doing calypso at corporate events and different opportunities that come up, I don't see a whole lot of women, as you said, choosing to go back in time, and look at those songs. And I'll tell you something, Ketan, they're still relevant today. And in my performances, in our performances as Kairi Kaiso, I like to weave in that relevance. You would be amazed if you would go back to a song from 40, 50, 60 years ago, bring it back, and it's still speaking about issues with which we are treating today.
Yes.
So I like that. That intrigues me. And as I said, it's relevance and connection. Once we find that way to bring the audience in. And I want to say this, whether it's at North Coast Jazz or wherever we are performing, Kairi Kaiso invites the audience to sing along. These calypsos, they really conjure up a lot of memories, good memories of family and gatherings and that time when we were somewhere else, and it was a good time. And that's what music is about at the end of the day.
Well, I must admit, I'm looking forward to this because I have a great appreciation for Kaiso. In fact, I share that with you, that I love the pre-independence songs, which many people, again, are not entirely aware of. So I think not only are you bringing something that everybody would enjoy, but something it may be a new experience to them, which is rather intriguing. But, I'm going to be in that crowd singing. So you can look out for me. I'll be the one waving crazily at you here on that stage. But
thank you for that. I'm happy that you're looking forward to it. I'm one of a few who choose to, explore nostalgia. And we're just happy to do it. We're just happy. So I'm looking out for you.
Well, actually, I'm glad that you mentioned nostalgia because it's always one thing with music. It's to also invoke a sense of emotion. So that too is excellent. But speak to me about the band Kairi Kaiso. You mentioned that you and your sister were part of this band. But now, is this a family band or has it become family?
No, it's not quite a family band, because of different reasons, work commitments and that kind of thing. And it was so for me because I worked in corporate communications for a number of years and performing as, my pastime. But now I've made it the focus along with some other projects that I do. The band comprises people like Michelle Martin Urquhart, who's on flute. She's a distant cousin, but it's not quite a family band because I've got James Fenton, my good friend. He's on cajon and percussion, and Mrs. Nicole Carter. She is background singer. So the four of us, it sort of evolved into the four of us. And I have to say that when I originally started, the only person who has remained from that first dispensation, if you wish, is James Fenton. But I like what we have. As I said, it's an acoustic sound. I play the guitar, I sing, a lot of things happening there because I gotta get my lyrics right, I gotta connect with the audience, and I'm fully supported by 3 focused musicians who have bought into this idea of celebrating our composers, our icons, calypsonians past and present, who committed their lives to doing this. And I feel that there is a need to highlight that. Their songs and little tidbits and trivia about their lives, that could really engage people. And I needn't say the educational value of things like that. I find so often we always look outside and celebrate others and the works of others. Can we not focus on what we have just a little bit more? I'm not saying to leave out foreigners or foreign input. It's all important. But for us to really engender cultural confidence, we have to celebrate and we have to research and we have to know and we have to hear and see and experience our own, that which and those who are authentically ours. Yeah?
Well, Ms. Newton, I mean, you've really done justice in this interview this morning, and I know that you're going to do justice. So when you grace the stage with Kairi Kaiso and your band members come the 27th of May in Blanchisseuse, again, I will reiterate, look out for me. Just look out for me. I'll be right there in front of the stage,
Most definitely. And I want to just say very quickly, we are the welcome act. So that as people come in, we're going to be hitting our performance from 2:30 because the start time is 3:30 p.m. on the 27th. And the gates open at 1 o'clock. We invite people to just come in, and as you go to your seats, you're going to be tripping to your seat. You can stand up and take us in. We will, and I hope to see you. It's going to be wonderful. North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival 2023. And we're grateful for the opportunity to be there.
Ms. Marva Newton, to you and to Kairi Kaiso, I wish you the best, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day.
You too. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.